Welcome. Good morning on this Sunday, January 23rd. I am Lilene Fifield, your service coordinator for today, and our presenter today is Michelle Avanti. She'll be speaking on a subject most meaningful and significant in this current social, political, spiritual climate. Her topic is finding our moral compass. There will be time for discussion with Ms. Avanti, and that will occur on Zoom at 11:30 this morning. Check-in for Zoom is 11:15, and the Zoom link can be found in the newsletter or UMQuest, very near the link that you used in order to find the service. If you are new to our Umpqua Unitarian Universalist congregation services, know that you're most welcome. Our services are not happening in our UU home as we are closed to keep us all safe during this recent escalation of COVID cases. We can still connect, though, through calls to each other, Facebook happenings, the website, newsletter, and emails. We will keep you current, and much appreciation as always goes to our staff, our committees, and our Sunday services crew. We begin our service, as always, with the lighting of our chalice.
Would
Let us take a few minutes now for some slow, deep, relaxing breaths, staying with the feelings brought forth with the beautiful Gay Men's Chorus and the feelings that came up listening. Allow yourself to meditatively just flow with this next presentation entitled The Japanese Bowl. Breathe in, breathe out, and watch what's coming.
I'm like one of those Japanese bowls that were made long ago. I have some cracks in me. They have been filled with gold. That's what they used back then, when they had a bowl to mend. It did not hide the cracks, it made them shine instead. So now every old scar shows from every time I broke, and anyone's eyes can see I'm not what I used to be. But in a collector's mind, all of these jagged lines make me more beautiful and worth a much higher price. I'm like one of those Japanese bowls. I was made long ago. I have some cracks, you can see how they shine of gold.
And now let me introduce you to Michelle Avanti. Michelle Avanti is a metaphysician, a certified astrology professional. She's a minister, an award-winning author, a professional artist. She has taught metaphysics since '72, astrology since 1993, and she has articles, interviews, features, and published in so many magazines since 1985. She's also been a guest or a host on over 5,000 radio shows. She holds 2 fine arts degrees in fine art and photographic illustration, and she works with clients all over the world as a metaphysical and astrological consultant, as well as a ghostwriter, book designer, and commissioned artist. We're in for a real treat having Michelle today. She's been honored so much by her peers in many ways. 3 awards for juvenile fiction, been a past president and co-founder of a number of organizations, and she lives in Southern Oregon, very near our own UU, and we are so privileged to have her. Michelle?
As I consider the direction of the nation since the time of George W. Bush, whose administration moved our moral compass south to include torture for prisoners and entered us into an unprovoked war that made billions of dollars for his friends and colleagues, and now, as I witness the unabashed lies that are designed to activate anger, which brings in millions of dollars for the people who promote lies. It's very sad. At any rate, it brings to mind a quote from Mahatma Gandhi. Business without morality will destroy us. I am certain that you have heard the phrase, it's nothing personal, it's just business. Those were the words that came after "You're fired" in the tagline of the television show The Apprentice, which gave Donald Trump celebrity status. That line has a past. It was coined by an accountant for the mob in the 30s, Otto Berman. It epitomizes the removal of morality in business dealings. So with these present notes on the table, we can see the moral compass of our nation has not been at the tippy top of the compass. But let's consider another view of how this moral compass is formed. Over the centuries, morality has been defined by religions, governments, tribes, and often embedded in law. The majority of all moral directives over the past 4,000 years have been voiced, written, and enacted by men. Only in the last century did women begin to have a voice in laws that govern them, their children, their property, and their animals. So what are morals? Why are they important, and how do we, as a people, find a path that includes everyone and everything inside a moral structure that leads to peace, harmony, and fulfilling lives in our world? Well, it's a big question and an incredibly deep subject. Being a rather simple person and who relies on my own guidance before anything outside, I didn't realize the extensive difference people have constructed around this word, moral. For me, it is so terribly simple that I thought there is little to discuss here. My instinct tells me something is moral when it involves an act that comes from the heart unconditionally. But it turns out that I may be one in a million who sees it so simplistically. According to Webster, the definition of the word moral is a person's standards of behavior or beliefs concerning what is and is not acceptable for them to do. The word acceptable is boundless. Wearing white after Labor Day is not considered acceptable to a certain group, certain class of people, making such a ridiculous act immoral. I think this definition is very weak. It shows the unfortunate control of culture over morality, which, as I see it, morality has much more to do with the spiritual or karmic link to our thoughts, words, and actions. So let us take a short journey along a simple moral question. Is it moral to beat your wife? I expect everyone who is listening would immediately say no. I have to agree. It seems simple. But alas, when the mind comes into play in a linear creation, simplicity goes out the window, and all kinds of events start to rationalize when it would be morally acceptable to beat your wife. In the days of Jesus and for many centuries before, and in some places to this day, it was and is considered morally acceptable not only to beat your wife, but if she has committed adultery, to stone her to death. And you wouldn't do it alone. The community would join in a public stoning to death of a woman. This was a morally acceptable treatment for women for centuries, and is actually still legal or practical in 15 nations today. In 2013 in Pakistan, a mother of 2 was stoned to death for having a cell phone. But along with the morally acceptable practice of stoning women, there was no equivalent moral practice of stoning a man for the same act of adultery. Thus, the acceptance of morality may not be aligned with what the heart center tells us, or even with equality across genders. Morality for anyone who acts in alignment with their heart center will act in the gratitude of creation rather than the selfishness of a physical being with a linear mind. When we come to realize how national morals are created, it won't surprise you that they are aligned with the needs and desires of those in power. Those in power do not come from their heart centers as they create rules or moral directives. Some may start there, but as they move along the path of considering all the surrounding issues that may arise, most likely from their own lives, they begin to rework what they deem moral. It takes tremendous courage to stand up and speak to power. But if we are to adjust the moral compass of a nation, we must each first find our own moral compass. We must each stand up to how we may have rationalized or are rationalizing issues to create a morality that is more palatable to our own lifestyle. This, of course, takes courage, and it hinges on our own ability to forgive. Forgiveness is a process. It's challenging, and we must remain steadfast to get through it to the side of compassion. Most people find it more comfortable to live in what they know, including anger and pain, rather than go through such a process. Why? Because it's easier to live in those old comfortable shoes, remaining angry about something, rather than recognizing that we have played a part in whatever the issue is. Thus, we have to take responsibility for our own creation, and the first step is to forgive ourselves. Once we do this, we break ground to forgive others. So let's take a journey down the road of forgiveness. Back in the early 90s, I had a client who lived her entire life allowing her mother to direct her life. My client was angry that every single time her mother visited, she rearranged her home, telling her this belongs here and that belongs there. The client, who wanted to speak up, remained silent, seething at her mother as her mother moved her precious things around. At the time, this client was in her late 40s and had breathing issues. She went everywhere with an oxygen tank. Morally, she was trained not to speak back to her mom, that her mother was always right, and thus she must accept whatever actions in words that her mother took or said. But her heart center told her otherwise. So what is morally correct in this situation? It is always morally correct to honor your mom, but it should not be at the expense of peacefully living in your own home. As I worked with her, I helped her find the courage to adjust her moral compass so that the needle pointed to love, which includes self-love. I helped her find the strength to speak to her mom with kindness, but firmly, telling her that she liked the placement of her precious things and did not want her mother moving them. It took several months for the client to love herself enough to speak. When she did, her life changed significantly. Her mother accepted her daughter's choices, left things where they had been placed, and the mother began to respect her daughter, and their relationship came into balance. The daughter was able to forgive her mother for interfering with her space, and over the following weeks took responsibility for not speaking up sooner. Then she began the process of forgiving herself for the years of anger. Within 3 months, this client's health improved, and she no longer had to carry an oxygen tank. So on the issue of morality, she found her moral compass, and it began a new journey of strength and self-love. Our body always knows when we are not morally aligned. Anytime you move away from true north, you feel it. Tell a lie, you feel it. Blame someone, yes, you feel it. Rationalize an action, you feel it. Your body is filled with trillions of sentient cells, and they know the compass well. So where do you start as you begin the journey to true north? I like to start with pen and paper. Write down what bothers you. What makes you angry? Who makes you angry? What have you said that you find yourself repeating that causes an uncomfortable feeling? Have you rationalized a choice lately? The choices might be things you are doing for someone else, or perhaps things you are doing for yourself. Think about people you know. How do you feel when you think about them? Jot these things down and then give each a number on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being red hot, uncomfortable, and 1 being super comfortable. Once you have your first list, you can begin unwinding why you feel this way. Once you start this process, you will likely discover you have more to add to this list. Take this process a day at a time. Don't rush it. Allow your body to help you and consider what you morally find good or not so good about words or actions involved. Once you understand what responsibility you have for the situation, you can begin to forgive yourself and adjust the way you respond to the person or situation as it activates in the future. Every time we work through one of these morally off situations, we clear them out of ourselves. And what happens then is it fills with peace. We can't change others or the world at large. But every time we add peace to our own universe, it activates more peace in the whole. Thus, we are actively participating in the change we want to see in the world. Doing this fulfills the statement Mahatma Gandhi said, "Be the change you want to see in the world." As for our national divide and the apparent lack of moral direction on a large part of our nation, we must consider our participation or lack thereof in getting us to this time. Yes, those in power have driven the bus. But did we overlook the red flags as we sat in the back seats? So many red flags for so many decades. Many of you saw them. Many of you actively participated in averting the decline of moral responsibility and the rise of immoral power. Your vote, your charitable service, your activism, your words spoken to family, friends, and neighbors, and all the other direct actions you took. So how could we fail? Are we failing? Will we fail? These questions have already been answered on the inner planes of creation, and we await their physical manifestation over the next few years and decade. We're in a great shift, a fight of light and dark, a time when humanity once more must step forward to speak with our one voice as to what we value and who we are. It is during times like this that humanity takes another step in consciousness. I believe we have always passed these tests despite the unbearable cost, pain, and bloodshed it involved. We did this during the Civil War and in World War II. We have always been a stubborn nation, but our diversity is an asset that breaks through so many stumbling blocks. When one culture emphatically says no, another culture has good reason to say yes. We argue and fight, and sometimes it comes to bloodshed, but in the end, we find a path forward to a new state of consciousness, a new state of humanity. We're in the midst of this fight right now, but spiritually, we have already passed the test and have just to bring it into full manifestation. Does this mean we can sit back and take no action? No. Just let things roll out on their own? No. The manifestation process may be complete on the inner planes of creation, but it is still up to us to use our moral conscience and take action wherever we see a need to do so, each of us in our own way, according to our own abilities. Webster's definition of morality is principles concerning the distinction between right and wrong or good and bad behavior. To ignore the behavior in front of us, whether it is our mother or a legislator, is to confirm that their behavior is morally correct. Silence is always confirmation. So we come back to having the moral courage to speak truth to power. First, we must find our own personal moral compass. We must align ourselves with Creator as we are made in its image. That alignment lets the soul that we each are shine through. Transparency is honesty. Honesty is an act of self-love. Self-love is the act of trusting that who we really are, soul, will get it right. It is in this clear, transparent, honest, self-loving state that we become fearless. Our creative energy is a collective energy, connecting all life, and it intuitively recognizes the importance of all parts of creation and the shortcomings of power, control, and the small linear mind. So let us together shake the tree of power and allow the fruits that are ready to flourish for all the world to blossom. The needle of the moral compass of a nation moves closer to north, which is love, every time one of us activate our own moral north. The moral compass, like all compasses, is magnetic. So that magnetism will affect change every time through our own thoughts, words, and actions. The question of what is moral, which is acceptable behavior and what is not, has been written about for centuries, and it's amazing how many books are on the subject. I think that Rabbi Jonathan Sachs said it best in his book, Morality Restoring the Common Good in Divided Times, when he stated, quote, "We are bound by a covenant of human solidarity, whatever our color or culture, class or creed." That is where the compass lies. in our solidarity as human beings. Simply put, what you want for you, you should want for others. Let us take care of each other, first forgiving ourselves for our shortcomings, then activating self-love. Then we can activate a positive morality for the rest of the nation and the world. Thank you.
The things my family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light, I am light. I am light, I am light. I'm not the mistakes that I have made, or any of the things that caused me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am light. 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 Yeah. I am light. I am light. I am not the color of my eyes. I am not the skin on the outside. I am not my age. I am not my race. My soul inside is all light. All light. Oh, light. Yeah. Oh, light. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light. Yeah. I am divinity defined. I am the God on the inside. I am a star, a piece of it all. I am light.
Our closing words today are from Jennifer Brower at Shelter Rock Unitarian Congregation, brought to you on video entitled One Day.
If we are committed to there one day being peace in this world, we must actually build it. In the words of Lao Tzu, for there to be peace in the nations, there must be peace in the cities. For there to be peace in the cities, there must be peace between neighbors. For there to be peace between neighbors, there must be peace in the home. And for there to be peace in the home, there must be peace in the heart. Let us make room in our hearts for peace, so that we may build lives of peace through every word and deed. What will our children say about these days and what we do with the gifts that we have received?
All my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that they don't want to fight no more, that there'll be no more war, and our children will say, one day, one day, one day, yeah. One day, one day, yeah. All my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that they don't want to fight no more, that there'll be no more war, and the children will play. One day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day.
The world aches for us to join together and bring about healing. Toil for justice and practice ever-increasing love. This is our calling. Let us go forth and act accordingly.